I'm going to call the meeting to order of the August 20th, 2019 meeting of the East Long Meadow Planning Board. President are John Torsia, George Kingston, Tide Richards, and myself, Russell Denver. And pursuant to Mass General Law, I need to announce that we are recording this meeting for the minutes and that LCAT is recording the video of this meeting. If there's anyone else who is recording the meeting, please identify yourself and your organization. Hearing none, I'd like to take the first order of business, which is the approval of the July 16th, 2019 meeting minutes. Do I hear a motion to approve?
So moved.
Do I have a second?
I'll second that.
A motion to approve and second. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Anyone opposed, say nay. None. This item passes. Mr. Clerk, would you like to read the first item?
Yes, site plan waiver request, SPRW 2019-23, home office for car hauler business. Request by applicant for site plan waiver for a home office at 34 Ann Street, assessors parcel ID 24-28-73 on .20 plus or minus acre in a residential C zoning district. Applicant Yosefi Famor, 34 Ann Street, East Long Meadow, Mass. Continued from July 16th, 2019.
I'm his wife, I'm here, he's not here.
Okay, why don't you step forward and tell us what your plan was, or is.
I don't know what to say, but like, it was just like
Have a seat.
request for the opening the like office at our house. And, like, I don't know what to say
Okay.
because this is first time for me and
Yeah, okay.
what should I say?
So at the last meeting, there were residents there who had indicated that you were parking commercial vehicles on the property and on the street.
Just one.
Okay, which I think that you've heard from the planning director that that's not legal in this town to have commercial vehicles parked overnight, nor is it legal to have commercial vehicles parked on your residential lot unless they are screened from view. So they are either always in the driveway or always in the garage, or they're screened from the street so people couldn't.
Can it be
Can't see
on the
them.
driveway?
Pardon me?
Can it be on the driveway?
No, it needs to be screened, so it's not seen from the street. So just sitting in a driveway is not sufficient.
Okay.
Screen would mean so that you
I
can't
got
see.
it.
Okay.
Yeah. Now because we had the trouble to find a place.
Mhm.
Now I found a place that we are gonna park the car there, and like probably this is not gonna be a trouble anymore.
Okay.
Wait, can we ask where he's going to be parking it?
Yeah, I have here. It's Bulldogs. It's on 55 Deer Park Drive, East Long Meadow, MA.
Deer Park is the,
Yeah. Where's Bulldog there?
It's like somewhere near here. It's like 2 miles away.
I know where it
I
is.
know where that
Yeah,
is.
but like.
I'm just trying to remember which is 55.
Yeah, you can look online, and I talked to the owner of the building, and he said that we can park on the like backside of the building. He has like a big parking lot there.
And do you have something in writing
No,
that says that from him?
no, because
So
like
where's the vehicle being parked right now?
right now he's not home. Like the vehicle is not home. My husband is away for 2 weeks.
Okay.
That's not Bulldog, that's GMH Fence.
I thought so.
Yeah, okay. They've got tons of room there. Okay, so basically, the home office, go ahead.
No, go ahead.
Through the chair.
Yeah.
The home office is allowable. Okay, there's nothing wrong with that, but you can't park that vehicle on the street or in the driveway.
Okay, got it, yeah.
And if you do, then the building inspector will come out and give you a ticket. So that's just not appropriate for a residential area.
Okay, but can he come like just for half an hour, like at all?
Well,
Not for more than an hour at a time.
yeah.
Okay, but he can come just like to drop some things from the car, like when
Yeah.
he's coming from the trip.
Yeah, as long as he's not parking it there, and especially if he's not parking it overnight, okay?
Okay,
That's the big issue.
Okay.
I mean, clearly, we have, through the chair,
Yep.
okay, we have tradespeople who are working on a house and they park there during the day, you know, their commercial vehicles. And that we allow, right?
Also, George, I'm looking at the map and it says GMH Fence, but behind it is Baldock's Apparel. So
Yeah,
it looks
it's
like it
right
won't be GMH Fence, but
No,
just the
it's
same, it
Baldock's.
looks like there must be some room there.
Yeah.
I think it would be prudent for the board to get a copy of any kind of agreement they have confirming the fact that they have a permission to park there. And I think we should, if we're gonna make a motion on this, I think the motion should include that in no way, shape, or form should any vehicle like this be parked in front of the residence longer than an hour.
Yeah.
It may be the ordinance anyways, but I want to confirm that because the intent of the ordinance is for the neighborhood to have harmonious living environment, and having this kind of a vehicle parked in front of your house doesn't create that.
okay.
I think it's great what you're doing, but you're also in a residential neighborhood, and you've got neighbors we need to be thinking about, that's all.
Okay.
And I would just say this to anyone, so I don't think we want to see they park it from 1 to 2 in the afternoon, move it, and then come back and park 3 to 4 in the afternoon type of situation.
No, definitely
So,
not.
Follow the intent of the,
Now, if we're gonna pay for the parking lot, of course, we're gonna keep it there, park it there.
So last time, unless there's other questions from the board or the petitioner, the last time we did allow the public, if they had any comments, if they wanted to come up and address the board on this specific issues, they could do so. So I would ask if there's anyone in the audience that would like to address this specific issue.
How you doing?
Good, how are you?
Okay. I believe he's a renter. I don't know whether that makes any difference or not. I don't have a problem with somebody running a business out of their house and trying to advance themselves. That's what this country is all about. I just want him to be a good neighbor. And he's, up to this point, he's really not being a good neighbor. I have some pictures on my phone where he backed the trailer across my mom's front yard, 3/4 of the way across the frontage. It's just unacceptable. I have a couple of pictures of both sides, the left and right side of the house. There's absolutely no way he can park that vehicle out of sight, either the truck or the trailer with the commercial plates on it, because there's just no way to get the thing in the backyard. But the most important thing is I just like him to be a good neighbor. Everyone else on the street is responsible, they take care of their yards. I just don't want it to turn into a bedlam situation where everyone in the neighborhood, because one guy is doing it, everybody else is gonna start doing it.
Right.
And that's just not a good scenario, you know? I just want him to be a good neighbor,
Okay.
you know? As far as the business thing, he wants to play on the computer and run a business, that's all well and good, but
You're right.
according to the next door neighbor, he's parking those cars along the street unregistered.
Oh, so
At
it-
times
is-
when he unloads them off of the trailer. So he has, the neighbor has said fortunately, the neighbor is on vacation, so he couldn't come. But the neighbor did say he called the cops on him one time. They came over and gave him some kind of a warning for that.
Okay.
And apparently it hasn't been done again since.
Okay.
But as far as the business thing, I don't have a problem with that, advancing yourself, but it's the good neighbor thing.
So you did hear that they've had an arrangement with Bolduc and they will be parking it there. So only the kind of home office component of the business will be in the house, is what you're telling us.
It's like nothing, he's doing everything from his truck,
Okay?
but like we have to just register like somewhere.
Right.
It's
Just have an address.
Nobody is coming, like, it's just like me.
And as he said, so if for some reason he's parking, parking vehicles on the street, that's operating the business there, and you would be ticketed and fined for that. So, just so
Right.
you're aware of that.
Like we're parking our.
Your personal
on the
vehicle's
street.
fine, but if he's parking vehicles that he's picking up and delivering, and he
No,
parks them on the
he's
street,
not.
that-
He's never
that would
done
be
that.
operating the business and that would be against.
He never
yeah.
leaves the someone else's cars on like on the street. Never.
Okay.
Maybe someone is coming to us like to visit. Yes, but
Yeah.
he never drops the cars like on the street.
Okay,
Thank you.
just wanted
Sure.
to be responsible.
Yep, thank you. Is there anyone else who would like to address that issue? Okay, hearing none.
May I make one more comment through the chair? The maximum capacity of any commercial vehicle in a residential area shall not be more than 1 ton in rated capacity. And the trailer, as shown, carries 2 cars, which I think is greater than 1 ton normal. So just for the record. Okay?
So do I have a motion from a board member on this issue?
I'll make a motion to issue a waiver of site plan for the home office only and not for the vehicle.
Do I have a second on that?
I'll second that.
So I would like to see if someone would like to offer a friendly amendment to that, contingent upon the petitioner providing the Director of Planning and Community Development authorization from the property owner where they're going to store the vehicle.
An agreement.
I'll amend my motion.
To
To that.
include that. So there's been a motion made, it's been seconded, all in favor?
Oh, one other thing we did talk about, maybe we don't have to bring it up less than an hour if it's gonna be parked on the street.
Well, that's
But-
in the
but-
bylaws,
But that's
yeah.
kind of like, you can't even do that anyways because it's over a ton.
Right,
Okay.
okay. So our motion made, it's been seconded, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed say nay. It passes. Okay. So you're gonna have to get written notice from Bolduc that they're allowing you to store that vehicle on their property,
Okay.
okay, and bring it to the
Should I bring
planning,
it?
to the planning office.
Okay.
Okay.
So through the chair, if I
Yes.
just may clarify, so there is no parking at all of this, of the hauler at this residence? Not for an hour, not at all? Drop off is not allowed?
No drop off of vehicles, no pickup of vehicles.
No hauler.
No hauler.
No hauler
Yeah.
on the site at
I mean,
all?
that's a weight issue.
Yeah, that's
Because
a
of the
weight
weight.
issue, that would be, yeah.
Okay, okay.
Yeah, the only, through the chair, the only way we would allow the larger truck is if it's making a delivery to the house, or it's a person working on the property to build something or, whatever.
Mow the lawn,
Yeah.
So Mr. Efremov can't be going to 34 Ann Street with his vehicle.
Right.
If he needs to bring something to his home, someone has to get it from him. So the vehicle won't be traveling in the neighborhood.
I mean, just the vehicle, not with the trailer. He can.
Ah,
Yes.
yes.
The
he
vehicle we're
can
fine, no
drop-
trailer.
Yeah, he
Yeah,
can
no
drop the
trailer. No
trailer.
No trailer.
Okay.
Yep.
Thank you very much.
It's only for, yes,
I had
sir.
another question.
Sure.
Is it okay for someone to park a commercial pickup, say a pickup truck big enough to haul a car hauler? Has to have commercial plates.
Yes.
Commercial plates in the town of East Long Meadow is legal to park in the driveway, or that has to be parked in a garage or behind a fence or behind the house?
That is the way the bylaw is written.
So even the truck cannot be parked there unless it's actually parked in the garage, because according to my pictures on my phone, he has no way to get that truck behind the house.
So the way, and please, I know you are well versed in all the bylaws. So the bylaw allows a commercial vehicle to be parked in front of a property if they're performing services for the
Okay.
property and/or, like a landscaper type of truck delivery and that type of thing. It cannot be there for more than an hour at a time unless they're performing those types of services.
Okay,
Yeah.
okay,
Yeah.
all right.
Okay. Oh,
It
yeah.
seemed like you were okaying the truck and not the trailer, but if the truck is commercial, it actually
Right.
technically needs to be hidden.
It still has to be screened.
Yep. So we have a motion, it's been seconded, And all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Anyone opposed, say nay. So it passes. So you'll get that to the planning director and we can move forward.
Okay.
Okay? Thank you.
Thank you.
All set. Second item, Mr.
SPRW 2019-24, home office for e-commerce online retailer, request by applicant site plan waiver of home office at 95 Summers Road, assessors parcel ID 28-25-0 on .15 acre in residential A zoning district. Applicant is Elvia Sergio Wilson, 95 Summers Road, East Long Meadow, Mass.
Hi, would you like to come forward?
And you can do a much better job of your name than I can. I'm sorry about that. I really am.
Olivia.
Thank you. Yeah, Olivia, that was the easiest part. Sorry again.
So tell us what you're interested in doing.
So having a home office for online retail, so everything is pretty much done online.
Yep.
You know, orders come in, I have my website set up, so all I need is a home office to type away.
So I'm sure you just heard that entire conversation we had right before you.
Yes.
No commercial vehicles of any kind? Okay.
Strictly e-commerce.
Okay.
Make a motion to approve,
If I
please.
may, just through the chair, I had some questions because
Okay.
so it looks like there's shared driveway access.
There was the little access way, but we have our own driveway now.
Okay.
There's a cut one there, so
Okay.
we no longer use that.
So 95 Summers Road, I'm looking at a driveway here.
Right, that was the
There's
shared
90
access
yeah.
with 99,
Okay.
and so that's no longer there.
How do you access your
Do you mind if
structure?
I-
No?
Okay, so a tree was there, so now the driveway's
Ah,
right here.
so you've added a new driveway?
Yes, we added a driveway.
Okay,
Yep.
all right. And so no deliveries?
No.
Of any merchandise?
No, everything
Okay.
drop shipped straight to the customer.
Okay, and hours of operation,
Regular hours 9 to 5.
8 to 5?
Yes.
Okay,
Or
and
9 to
type of
5, yeah.
retail is
Apparel, clothing and apparel,
clothing and apparel?
Yeah.
And the name of your retail establishment?
fashion warehouse.
Fashion Warehouse, okay. All right, so before you go, I need signatures. See the thing? We never got signatures. You'd be so kind?
Well, let's vote on this
yes.
first before
Okay.
she signs.
Yeah.
So
Yeah,
we have a motion. It's been, do I hear a second?
I'll second that.
It's been second. All in favor, say aye.
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 Anyone opposed, say nay. So that passes.
Good. Good luck with business.
Thank you very
Yeah?
much.
Thank you.
The signature here, right?
Yes,
Just here?
ma'am.
Okay.
I'll read the next one. SPRW 2019-25, home office or Gwyn massage, oh, message. Massage.
Equine massage.
Equine massage, sorry. I'm probably the wrong guy to be the clerk with the way I was murdering all these words tonight. But in any event, request by applicant for site plan waiver for a home office at 35 Rockingham Circle, assessors parcel ID 31-42-6, a 1.06 acre site residential AA zoning district. Applicant is Laura Petros, 35 Rockingham Circle, East Long Meadow, Mass.
Hi. Come on forward. Tell us about what you plan on doing.
So I am just getting certified to provide equine massage therapy to horses. So basically, I don't do any work at my home. I
Okay.
drive 2 different stables in the area. Most of them are actually in Connecticut. And so at my home, I just am basically gonna set up my appointments and screen my clients and talk to my, do my billing and all that stuff. And then I will drive off, and I just use my own car, so I
Great.
don't plan on getting anything written on it or anything, so
Okay. Good.
that's it.
Okay.
Any questions from the board?
Motion to approve?
Do I have a second?
I'll second that.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Anyone opposed, say nay. Off you go.
Good luck.
Yep.
Yes.
We'll give you a call when the site plan waiver is ready for you to pick up, okay? Come back and visit us. Is that within the next 48 hours? Okay. All right, thanks.
SPRW 2019-26, addition of Blue Rhino propane exchange. Request by applicant for site plan waiver for an addition to Blue Rhino Propane Exchange at 13 North Main Street, assessors parcel ID 27-37-0, 27-38-0 in the Business District, Zoning District, applicant Pride Convenient Inc., 246 Cottage Street, East Long Meadow, Mass.
Is there anyone from Pride here?
Yes.
Come on down.
Hello.
Hi. Can you tell us what you're planning on doing?
Sure. Basically, we would like part of the process. We would like to install the cage, typical cage, Blue Rhino that you've seen in many places now, pretty much standard throughout the industry. And we've spoken through the fire department. They've expressed favorability towards doing it with some conditions which we're willing to meet. Basically, it's just a Blue Rhino cage. We'll put bollards and anything that's also required by the fire department at our site in East Long Meadow.
So I had a specific question that maybe you can answer for me.
Sure.
So this is a picture of the west elevation of the property. So you're planning on doing it on this side of the building?
That is correct. Yes.
So are they going to be on the concrete sidewalk, or are they going to be in what looks like no parking or fire lane?
Right.
Right there?
It'll be off the sidewalk. It'll be, right here. Right.
Okay.
Yep.
So does that impact any parking spaces?
It should not. There's a corner right there. It's kind of hard to see with it where it's painted. There's a triangle. And actually, I believe.
Here we go, here's a plan.
Yeah.
Yeah, I saw that, but I really couldn't determine it from the plan.
Correct. So it's actually going to go on the sidewalk. And this was a little misleading. It's actually going to go on the sidewalk. The bollards would have to be off the sidewalk, so the sidewalk will still be accessible. That's what I was trying to say.
Okay.
So the cage will be on the sidewalk and the bollards will be off the sidewalk.
So you won't lose any of these parking spaces?
No, you will not. No.
Okay. Okay. Those were my questions. Any other board member have a specific question about this request? George?
I have a comment. I have no objection to the Blue Rhino being there. We see it all over the place. However, it is a change to the site plan. And I'm uncomfortable doing that as a waiver because we don't then have the new site plan recorded. And there's nothing in the future that you go back and say it's still in the right place or whatever. That's just my own personal feeling. I think a waiver is a little too loose for a change like this.
I don't have a problem with the waiver on this one. I mean, it seems pretty minor.
Right.
And I like to try to agree with everybody else, but in this case, I don't really feel it.
Through the chair, do we have any other Blue Rhinos in town or propane tanks?
Our director told us that there's Rockies across the street
Yeah.
from there, and A.W. Brown's.
They're
She's
not
aware of.
Blue Rhino, so
They're
Oh, I
they're
don't know about
propane
that.
tank.
Propane.
They're
Yeah, that's
propane.
what I meant, yeah,
Yeah.
propane.
And I think Rockies is more of actually a filling station as well.
Right.
so is A.W. Brown's.
Is that, yeah?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
So do I have a motion from someone on this one?
I'll make a motion
Two.
to approve the site plan waiver.
Do I have a second on that?
Yeah, I'll second that.
So we have a motion that's been seconded. All in favor say aye. Aye.
Aye.
Anyone opposed say nay.
Nay.
Okay, passes.
Thank you.
Thank
Oh,
you.
can we have a name?
My name is Hamilton Ramos for Pride Stores.
Oh, it's nice to see you again. I'm so sorry. I didn't recognize. We've only spoken. We've never met.
Yes, that's right.
That's right.
That's
It was
right.
nice to meet you.
Nice meeting you too.
Thank
That's
you.
the face you've been speaking to.
That's
right,
Jen,
that's right.
yes. Nice. He's the architect.
Yes.
Yes. Nice to
Great.
meet you.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
So
Okay,
it's 48 hours on that, okay?
Great. Thank you.
Perfect.
we have a continuance here.
Yep.
You want me to go ahead and read this?
Please.
Okay. Site 2019-05, proposed commercial development site for Shaker Road. Request by applicant for construction of a proposed 2,500 square foot plus or minus bank and 5,500 square foot plus or minus commercial building at 244 Shaker Road, Assessor's Parcel ID 18-35-0 on a 133,217 plus or minus square foot lot located in residential A business zoning district. Applicant SIVAD Development Partners LD at 1 Monarch Place, Suite 1300, Springfield, Mass. 01144. Continued from April 16th, 2019, June 18th, 2019, July 16th, 2019. And I'm surprised you're here.
Good evening. Sophia from Arlevec Associates here with Attorney Jim Martin as well. On behalf of the applicants, nice to finally meet you as well. We've spoken several times that they usually don't send me out, so here I am.
We got the A-team tonight.
Exactly. So pretty much just to sum up what's happening, we had prepared site plans per the last meeting and comments received. Unfortunately, we received additional comments from the police chief regarding...
Last week, right?
Yes, I believe it was on Friday.
Friday.
Yep, and we tried to get a hold of him, finally we talked to him this morning. He expressed some concerns regarding 2 of the 3 entrances to the site. In order to accommodate and address his concerns, we do have to go back to the drawing board a little bit. He wants us to try to join the parcels to allow easier access throughout the 2. Unfortunately, one of our stormwater basins is right in the middle of it, and then this also would bring up some conservation matters as well, so.
So we'll probably have to go to conservation before we can come back here. To
Yep.
see if we can even do it, to get a waiver or
Yeah.
something like that.
We'll probably have to go to a subsurface solution. So we are working on it. We are trying to accommodate everyone's concerns and make sure this project works well for everybody. So just kind of wanted to come in and give a brief update. We are working on it. I know it's definitely been dragged out a little bit, but we want to make sure it's done correctly and to everyone's approval.
And so you may recall, the last time we came in here was because Conservation and DPW wanted us to move it to a subsurface over to the side, and we redid those plans and did that. Now the chiefs come along and say,
Then we finally got DPW approval, he was
Right.
all set,
Yeah,
so
we
we're like,
got
oh
it.
good, we're all set, and then all of a sudden the chief of police is like, I don't think this is gonna work out so well, so just wanna make sure we look at everything.
yeah, and we may not be able to do it because of
Right.
conservation, but we're gonna give
We're
it a
gonna
try.
try.
Okay.
Okay.
So I guess we normally have continued like in 2-week intervals, but I think we probably should be a little bit cautious with that.
I would agree.
Because we gotta talk to conservation, go back to the police chief, and then come to you folks, so.
Well, the next full hearing night would be...
Is it a month out?
September 16th?
Okay.
17th.
17th, so
Oh,
that's
1
about a
month.
month,
Yeah,
yeah. I
okay,
think
that
we'll
should be
take
fine.
that, and
That
then if
should
I
be
know
fine.
ahead, I'll try to do the 48-hour thing or sooner. As soon as I know, if we need to continue again, we'll definitely send something out, but it's
So
gonna take a little
before
bit of
we
design.
vote and it's a continued public hearing, do we open it to the public to see if there's anyone here who's interested in speaking on this issue? Hearing none, I will close the public hearing.
No.
Or take a...
No, please don't close it.
Yeah, no, yeah,
That's right.
yeah.
I'll make a motion to keep it.
Well, they were okay with it.
Yeah.
Well, I don't know, because I
No.
would have taken the chief's...
No, we were not okay.
I'll make a motion to
Thank you.
continue the public hearing.
Thank you, sir.
To September 17th.
And do I have a second on
I'll
that?
second that.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Great,
All opposed, say nay, it passes. Thank you.
awesome,
Okay.
thank you
Good
guys so
catch.
much.
Thank you.
Have a good night, yep, definitely, nice to see you,
Thank you.
absolutely.
So I'd like to see if someone would make a motion to take number 7 out of order before we discuss the amendments to the rules and regulations.
Probably 7 and 8. Both.
No, 8. Well, we've already started.
Well, let's,
I'll make a motion to take number 7 out of order.
do I have a second on that?
Second.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Mr. Clerk, would you read item 7?
Letter of concern received from Alice Widmer, 81 Harwich Road, East Long Meadow, regarding Hidden Ponds development.
Oops, sorry, dear.
Thank you so much.
Hello.
Hi,
How are you?
I'll let you know when we get done. I'm concerned about what the developer is doing in my backyard. I don't know if you'd care to see some of the pictures that, well, these are
Okay,
yesterday's.
great.
This is my backyard, this is the easement, and this is my private property.
Okay.
Where the water is running over my private property, not the easement. They're planning to put an easement. They are planning to use the easement that KV put into our backyards to collect the runoff of the water from what was then a farm area off of Maynard Street. It was never intended to support the water from a tarred road to run off in one spot. The flow of water we experienced this year was enough to wash away much of my lawn in the area of the easement. I'm the last house on the street. They have not dug below the original surface of the ground to make any of the holding ponds, which is how most of the holding ponds are constructed in East Longmeadow and Springfield. At this point, they have brought in large and small chunks of redstone, placed them on the original ground surface. There is no sand or earth mixed with them. They had a very large machine that climbed on top of the stones and crushed it into gravel. As you know, gravel will not absorb the water, and since there is no dirt or sand mixed with it, it will not hold back the water and will filter into our land. The water will run out onto our backyards. Are you aware that the water is only running about 200 feet in the easement, and then it runs onto my private property, and I have never given permission for that to happen. I suspect it might be against the law. I was advised by the Office of Mara Healy, the Attorney General, to file a consumer complaint, which I have done, and I did talk to Richard Neal about it when he called on Wednesday. If it turns out that the water from this public road is allowed to run off onto my property, the developer or town should be making sure the water that will filter through the gravel beds or come out there on that 12-inch pipe will not damage my private property. Water running out of a 12-inch pipe can wash away plenty of land and do a lot of damage. The easement cannot handle more water the way it is now. The area across my property is up to the top of the land and just about carried everything it could yesterday. Take a look at the easement and try to assess the needs to be done in our end. It's your responsibility to protect us abutters as well as to protect the people who are doing the development. And at this point, it's not happening. Please take a look at it. It's bad.
Mr. Chairman, may I speak?
Certainly.
The photos look horrible. But the problem with the photos is, I don't know what I'm looking at, but they don't look good. And my recommendation would be to have Kevin go out there immediately and meet with you,
Who's Kevin?
our
That's the building
building
commissioner.
inspector, and have you and him go down to where these photos were taken and have him get a good understanding of what you're talking about, because what you're talking about doesn't look good from these photos, but it's also very hard to tell what we're looking at from these photos as well. And then, because if that's the case, I mean, this is not a good situation by any stretch of the imagination.
I talked to the fellow who's in charge of roads. He came down and looked at it
Tom Christensen. I was out at the site also
Okay.
with Felix.
the
and
other
with,
day.
With the Bruce.
But it's just crushed stone. There's no dirt.
So can we hear from Connie? So what did you see and observe?
So what we saw was the beginning of the construction of a detention pond, and it was large boulders. So generally what you do, or large pieces of sandstone, so generally what happens in the construction is you place the larger pieces and then you sift the smaller in to fill the gaps so that creates a barrier. They're not quite there yet. We did not see this. This is shocking. So it was dry the day we were there, and I know that Tom has been monitoring the site, Tom Christensen, who is the Deputy Superintendent
Of Public Works.
of Public Works. I also know that Kevin Duquette was out at the site.
Right.
And Kevin, At this stage, it doesn't fall under code enforcement, it falls under construction monitoring, and that would be DPW. So Kevin, it's not really his purview, not his call, not his place. at this-
Whichever's fine with
Yeah,
me.
yeah. The only other suggestion that I might make would be for the planning board to recommend that this project be monitored by a consulting engineer under 53G, which is peer review, and the applicant, the developer were required to pay for those services of a consulting engineer to monitor this project. Town of East Long Meadow has only so much manpower. They are monitoring not only the developments that are before us, the subdivisions that are under construction, but also the normal day-to-day routine of road maintenance, weather events. They just don't have a large body, they just don't have the extra manpower. And in times like these, it might be a planning board recommendation that to monitor your subdivision that you have approved, to engage the services of the consulting engineer to monitor the construction.
I did send you a picture of the machine on top of the rocks where it was being crushed. Not on those, but originally, are you,
But wait, it could be the same end result. We're confused in the photos, we know it's a bad situation, and we need to go out and get it fixed.
I know, all right.
So I guess what I would recommend, and I don't know how anyone else feels, but before I would, my recommendation is before we meet with the developer and tell them that this is a situation that perhaps is beyond your capability of managing, and we would require you to have an outside consulting engineer, that we meet with the engineer. Perhaps our planning director could do so and express the concerns that we have as a planning board after seeing these pictures and listening to your concerns. And that unless, we get some type of assurance from them that the situation is resolved in a expeditious manner, then I have to imagine we'd have to schedule a hearing on that, because that would be a change to to our approvals for the project. Wouldn't it be?
To engage the services of a consulting
Would be a
engineer.
requirement.
I can double check on that. I believe that you may at any time require, but I will double check, I will confirm.
I was just wondering if you want to get a recommendation from the DPW if they think,
That's warranted?
Yeah.
Yeah, I think that would be appropriate. We need to recall that DPW has already used a consulting engineer to review the stormwater management, and that consulting engineer has signed off that there will be no additional discharges from the site under the design that was approved. So, when you look at a construction project in process, it always looks a lot messier than it does when it's finally done. And I think that if at a minimum, we should review what the consulting engineer said about the stormwater management. But I don't know that monitoring the construction is going to do any good if they're still doing the same design.
So I guess what I'm thinking, if I could, you indicated that it's coming on your property,
Right.
and it should, during the construction phase.
Right, during construction
So-
phase, it should not.
That's my major concern,
Right, I
because
agree.
essentially, your only recourse then would be to either sue the town or to sue the developer. We don't want the town being sued for any property damage that was done during the construction.
Yeah.
So that's what my thought process was.
Sure,
on
no, I
that.
agree. I really think it's DPW's
May I make a motion?
purview to deal with this.
Mr. Richards?
That's what I was going to say. If we're going to be making motions, my motion would certainly be that this has to be fixed. DPW should report and let us know whether they're going to monitor it or they think a third party should be doing the work. And if that's the case, we'll go by their recommendation and act on it.
Shouldn't they be digging a hole for the water to sit? rather than let it filter out through the red stone?
We're not engineers, we can't respond, but we can turn it
Well,
over to
you know
DPW and have them
that
to.
stone doesn't hold
No,
water.
of course not, but DPW need to give us a recommendation immediately and let us know what to do next.
Because it should not be going onto your property and causing damage. And that's what we want to stop.
No, it shouldn't.
That's what we want to stop. So would you please follow up? And would you please let the
We'll keep you
know
informed.
what's going on? Thank you for bringing it to our attention.
Yeah.
Alice, do I have the correct phone number? Have you been getting my messages? Have you been getting?
525
Yeah, you don't have to
69.
say it out loud. Yeah. But you've been getting my voicemail, right? I've been calling, I've left you 2
I'm
messages.
sorry, but I don't listen to it every day. I just heard you at 3 o'clock this
That's
afternoon.
good, no, I just want to make sure I have the right phone number.
Yeah.
Okay, perfect.
Yeah.
Thank you.
So let's see if we can do that.
Okay. Number
We need
8,
to have a motion. So can we take a motion to take item 8, the endorsement of modified subdivision plans for Bella Vista Estates?
I'll
Out of
make a
order?
motion to take it out of order, number 8 out of order.
A second.
Second.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Please call it.
number 8, endorsement of modified subdivision plans and other documents, case SD-D 2019-04, modification of definitive subdivision plans for Bella Vista Estates Phase 2, request by applicant for endorsement of modified definitive subdivision plans and acceptance of other documents for the elimination of the proposed Capri Drive wetland crossing, establishment of the temporary cul-de-sac between the Capri Drive cul-de-sac and Bella Vista Drive, removal of the section of the right-of-way between the Capri Drive cul-de-sac and Bella Vista Drive, revision to lots 9, 10, 25, 26 to include the land previously occupied by the removed section of the right-of-way, and establish of a 30-foot wide utility easement for proposed water and sanitary sewer utilities. The applicant is Bella Vista Holdings Realty Trust, Brian S. Fitzgerald, trustee, 46 Center Square, East Long Meadow, Mass.
Hi, good evening.
Floor is yours.
All right, thank you. Brian Fitzgerald here on behalf of Bella Vista Holdings Realty Trust. I guess we're here for the endorsement of the modified plans. And then just to give you an update, yesterday I had submitted documents to the planning director related to the extension of the subdivision approval, executed the conveyance of easements and utilities to the town, submitted the revised deed for the Longmores, which is 57 Capri Drive, because on their parcel on Capri, which is this parcel B, we had acquired the roadbeds of what was Bella Vista Drive and Capri Drive and Amalfi Place. But when the Longmores were deeded their lot from the prior developer, this part of the cul-de-sac was actually deeded to them. So they're going to be deeding this to the trust, and then we in turn will be deeding to them what is known as, there's parcel C, which is this little piece right here. And then there'll be the easement, utility easement that'll run across from Capri Drive over to Bella Vista Drive.
Hey, that's kind of interesting. What happens if they don't deed that over?
We have an agreement with them. They have to.
So you're all set?
So we're all set, yes.
You're
Yeah, we have an agreement.
ironclad.
Right, we have.
Okay.
Yeah, we have an agreement with them.
I never thought about that until right now when you mentioned it, and I said, gee whiz, what happens if that doesn't happen?
Yes, we have an agreement with them in terms of, the gas line service had not been brought to their home. They were on propane tanks, so
Okay.
Anthony has brought the gas line service to them, and
Now, they're selling their parcel as well right now, right?
they're in the process of selling their parcel, yes.
Okay, so all this is gonna take care of before the sale?
Hopefully, yes, yeah,
Okay.
it should. It should be.
Hopefully.
Yeah,
You
it should
mean
be.
it will?
It will,
Okay,
yes, yeah,
thanks.
yeah,
Good.
yeah. I don't know if they're.
We don't like to use the word
Oh, well, I
hopefully
know,
here.
I'm sorry. Well, I just don't know if they're under contract yet or not.
But you're a
So,
lawyer, I
yeah,
mean,
so,
you
yeah,
know
yeah,
that.
Yeah,
Okay.
so, yeah. Then we've submitted a revised homeowners association and declaration and maintenance covenant And then finally, I think in terms of all the other items that can fall into place, the first thing obviously is that we have to get this recorded, and then we can record the other items that, documents that need to be, kind of make everything else fall into place. And then with respect to construction, it's ongoing, and then Anthony, I can defer to you in terms of just giving an
Yeah,
update.
we have the sewer line completed, the water line completed. Water line was tested, and we also today flushed it and sent out a sample to make sure we can turn it on to the rest of the public water system. It's absent of any bacteria. We cut out the cul-de-sac. That should be getting paved Monday. And electric phone is going in as we speak. And optimistically, we should have pavement down beginning of September. Although tide.
Okay. No,
Mr. Richards?
if you don't mind, Mr. Chairman, I have a few things I wanted to say. I'm intimately familiar with this project because I stare at it every day. I can't enter my house or leave my house without staring at this project, so it's on my mind all the time. So, I have a couple of things I want to talk about. One is, we have a zoning bylaw where a developer cannot get a permit or dig a hole or do anything on any of his lots until the paving is down. And I understand that that's in the bylaw to protect the town in case a developer doesn't fulfill its obligations in the area is stuck with a partially developed parcel that goes nowhere. And in some cases, it could be in the town's benefit if the developer could post a legitimate bond to make sure that the town is never exposed in a situation like that, but at least getting projects out of the ground faster puts more tax dollars in the town's treasury quicker. So that's certainly a conversation that would be ongoing for a long period of time and will never be resolved tonight. However, what if there were two lots that had access to pavement, and if the developer did have problems and couldn't complete the project, at least two of the lots could be completed. Is that something that could be discussed tonight, or would that also fall under the purview of what I just said a minute ago?
I'll defer to Mr. Kingston on that one.
If I could just add, Mr. Chairman, if I could just add before we defer to, I think what you're saying is because this is a public way, Prospect Street.
Right.
And that public access on
Yeah, what I'm
these two
saying
corner
is,
lots-
because this is a public access, there's utilities in this road, there's everything in this road that you would need, and this house can go here, this house can go here, at least get two things going, for a number of reasons. One is, it's an eyesore looking at it the way it is right now. You know, but I get it, because I've created lots of eyesores myself in the same situation, so I get it. But at the end of the day, no one wants eyesores. And also, we want tax dollars faster, as fast as we can possibly get them, because we're certainly spending them quickly. So that's the...
Require us to rethink the width of pavement, which we've normally been reducing, may have to go up, and the question then becomes, with bicycle lanes, is the width of pavement that is required now, that we sometimes waive, sufficient? Okay, and that's something we should have to look to DPW to advise us on. But that's a separate issue, but something that we need to think about going forward. I like the idea of things on both sides of the street, quite frankly, myself, because I deal with someone who needs a nice flat surface to walk on.
Jonathan?
Yeah, I would echo that. I think it would be smart, just because if you're on a main road, there's, I live, my father lives on North Main Street, and that side isn't covered by sidewalks, so it is dangerous if you're trying on that side to walk and use the other side. It's usually a pretty busy area. I think my suggestion would just be, I read the letter that the superintendent provided. I think it would be also smart not only to consider adding sidewalks around schools, but also having sidewalks that, if there's chunks of sidewalk, sort of out here towards the southeastern portion, connecting places like Summers Road or Parker Street all the way, and not just necessarily partially. Just as I viewed the map, there's 2 or 3 areas that I think would be good to add in possible, adding more potential sidewalk to some of those main roads there.
We can give those comments to the DPW. Mr. Richards, do you have any specific?
My comments would be redundant.
So I was, I think I told people last time, my first meeting was the development at the corner of Maple and Dwight Road, and there was the need for the sidewalk to nowhere, and I was confused by that. And
I remember that meeting.
yeah, kind of, the Alaskan Bridge to nowhere, that's kind of what I related it to. So I'm all in favor of the, it was Russian, okay. I'm all in favor of the development of the sidewalk fund. You've heard me say I was on appropriations for 11 years, and we put money aside every single year for the sidewalk fund, and it was never enough, and the cost of sidewalks have ballooned, and how much you can do for $1 million is nowhere near what you could do 10 years before. So I'm all in favor of that. I'm really kind of on the fence on one side or both, because essentially what we're doing by that is every developer is going to come in, and now there's going to be the additional cost. Because essentially, if you, let's say you have 1,000 feet, and you could use 500 on one side, there's that cost, and now we're really doubling their sidewalk cost. On the other side, which is added expense to the people who are buying the lots and development.
Well, the other side of the coin is, if
I
the
don't know if that
developer...
makes it more valuable.
Yeah, I
sidewalk.
didn't mean to interrupt you, but the other side of the coin is the developer is paying for a sidewalk on both sides of the street, and rarely is that sidewalk going to get used on both sides of the street. I would rather have one side of the street, instead of putting the sidewalk in, use those funds, put them towards the sidewalk fund, to be used in another part of town that will never get sidewalks, because it's an older part of town that doesn't have a developer still involved with that area, that neighborhood. So as much as I like the feng shui and the convenience of having it on both sides of the street, absolutely and unequivocally I do. If we think we could use the money from the other side of the street to get sidewalks in another part of town where we don't have sidewalks, I'd like to think about that.
So is it worded in such a way we would be able to get his feng shui?
I think it's my feng shui,
Because
actually.
in all the years I've been going to public meetings, I've never heard feng shui mentioned in a
But you know what I mean.
I know exactly what you mean, actually.
I mean, you go down the street, it's odd. Wait a minute, there's sidewalks over here, there's not over here. This feels weird. It doesn't feel...
But Jonathan makes a great point. There are lots of major areas, major streets in town
And
with sidewalks on one side.
Yeah, and I'm noticing some of these side streets or there's main roads, but more on the outskirts of town. I think there should be more priority towards, I like that Pleasant Street, the proposal to link that up entirely would be an extremely good idea. Because we should be getting, possibly if we can, more pedestrians to the center of our town. So if they can walk, there could be more activity.
That's really.
And I want to use that
DPW
money
function, right?
on that one side of the street to get more sidewalks somewhere else where we don't have them.
So this is a public hearing, so I would like to open it to the public if anyone would like to address the board on this issue.
I'm surprised.
Good evening.
Who are you?
I didn't expect this.
There's nobody here except me.
That's how she thinks.
Wow.
That's true.
Wow.
The truth comes out,
Are you going to speak on this public hearing?
depending on what you say. Your rights.
Good evening, folks. Marilyn Richards, 342 Pinehurst. Just based on some of the discussion you've had, There is a sidewalk plan somewhere,
We
and
have
I
copies
thought
of
that
it.
sidewalk plan was prioritized.
It is.
Okay,
Yeah.
okay.
And we have copies of it.
Okay. And when the decision was made years back to include sidewalks in all subdivisions, empower the developer to put them in, the feeling was that we knew that there would be sidewalks that would be going to nowhere for some time, but eventually, hopefully, they would connect, or important ones would connect. Just for discussion, I lived in a subdivision without sidewalks with a 30-foot right-of-way. And actually, there was not a huge problem because there was enough asphalt if you're out there walking a baby carriage or if you're on a bike, there's plenty of room for the traffic to get by and everyone is safe. I now live in a development with a 24-foot width road and sidewalks. And I'll tell you, there are times when you're on the sidewalk and disrespectful, aggressive drivers coming around a corner make you almost jump to the side because you're that much on top of one another. Sidewalks are really still important, regardless of where they're located, whether it's a subdivision or out on the main roads. So that wasn't what I was prepared to say, but I wanted to at least comment on that discussion. One quick question. In the information that was provided with your agenda for tonight, under number 1, section 6, design standard 6.3 sidewalks, is that number in green? I have 7.25. Is that supposed to be 7.2.5?
No. It is supposed to be 7.25. So that first one under section 6.
Yeah, how does that fit in here? See, this is the correction that's being made.
Okay. So here it says see section 7.2.6.
6, right.
So really, when you go to 7.2.6,
Would be street signs.
right, it's 7.2.5.
Right, but what you have down there's missing a decimal point.
So under number 1, so it should be, the typo should be 7.2.5. Thank you
Okay.
for catching
Thank you.
that.
All right.
Thank you.
Okay,
Yep,
thanks.
you're welcome. Got it? Yep.
Oops, I got it, thank you.
Is that what you wanted to talk about?
No. Not, the question, what I really want to talk about is the language regarding the contributions.
Yes.
And if you're ready to talk about that, then,
Yep.
okay.
Yep.
When I looked at the rules and regs for subdivision control, and I read the section on construction standards, and it talked about sidewalks shall be required, they shall be placed on both sides of the road, they shall be constructed as, according to the standards of the town. It was a pretty strong mandate for sidewalks in that paragraph. And then if you move to the next paragraph, which addresses the in lieu of contributions for the construction of sidewalks, all of a sudden you've got a statement where there's a plan in place to effectively waive a sidewalk that the paragraph before was strongly mandated. And there's nothing in between to sort of segue why you are doing contributions in lieu of the construction of a sidewalk.
From shall to may.
Well, no, the shall is okay. I'm not asking to change that because I support that they should be. My concern is that the planning board has the ability to waive any of their rules and regulations if it's good for the public interest. And so if you are talking about waiving a sidewalk for good reason, I would like to just see some kind of a segue sentence that says in rare occasions there are instances when sidewalks should be waived. In that event, then move to the next statement of how you would accept the dollars to be able to do that. It was just sort of choppy to me, and I know what's going on, but if a user out there in the community is reading this and he's reading this one paragraph with a strong mandate, and the next paragraph says, in lieu of contributions can be accepted to waive sidewalk construction, I'd want to know why that happened.
isn't that really a case-by-case?
True, true. And
So
so I'm
if you-
not,
if you-
so I'm just saying that if there was some sort of language that in rare, say, in rare situations, some sidewalks may appropriately be waived. Rationale, I mean, it could be just the size of the subdivision, it could be the topography of the land, it could be the width of the road. I mean, there are issues that could influence the waiving of a sidewalk, but without saying something, which you're, I mean, and that, you're allowed to do that, but without saying something, there is nothing to justify moving from the first paragraph to the second paragraph. Those are just my
Yeah,
opinion.
thank you.
The language for in lieu of contributions. I had a discussion, George, I hope you don't mind me saying this, I had a discussion with George before the meeting because I was unclear about the word contribution. And are you folks in a situation where a sidewalk might be waived? Is it a requirement that there be a financial contribution on the part of the developer in place of the construction of a sidewalk? And, I mean, I'm putting that because I'm not sure what this means. Or is it a voluntary effort on the part of the developer if he or she sees fit to say, I won't put the sidewalks in because it's silly for 3 houses, but I'll give you $10,000 for your sidewalk fund. I don't know what the goal was for this particular piece. And where I'm going with that is, if it's a contribution, then there's no standard. It can be whatever is decided on a case-by-case basis. If it's a fee, then I was curious about what the process would be to establish the fee. And if it is a fee, then the council has to bless it, because it's part of the charter, that all fees that are not subject to general law need to be approved by them in the form of a bylaw. That's section 7 of the charter. So, and I don't know if any of that fits. It all depends on what the focus is, and that's what I have to say. It's your
Thank you.
answer, Connie.
Well, let's just see if there's, Mr. Merton wants to address, he's the last public.
Yeah, come on, you're gonna say.
Public member.
I wasn't planning on saying.
Okay, you don't have to.
No, I know, but I did
So-
ask, probably before she spoke, these rules and regulations are referring to residential subdivisions, correct?
Subdivision control law, yes, it
Yes.
would be residential, but we also have, if you have reviewed our subdivision regulations, when there is site plan development in a residential subdivision, or you adhere to site plan review. They're hand in hand. So if you're doing site plan review for a commercial use, so there are some parallels, there are some similarities, and I think that, what are you getting at?
I'm getting at those regulations which she has, that were originally promulgated in 1982 and are being amended, those are with respect to residential subdivisions.
Yes.
And they were revised in 2001.
And revised in 2001.
Yes.
I understand the other processes for presenting a development that is not residential, but for these particular definitions or regulations, they refer to residential subdivisions.
That is correct.
Thank you.
You
So,
are welcome. Thank you for asking the question. Do you want me to fill?
sure.
Okay, so I have, this in lieu contributions for the construction of sidewalks may be accepted as approved by the planning board and Department of Public Works and deposited into the town's existing sidewalk fund. We do have a sidewalk fund. This paragraph was drafted in partnership with Sarah Menard, my town accountant, and with the input from the Department of Public Works. For the planning board to understand the amount that is to be placed as an in lieu contribution, not a fee.
Okay.
Okay, contribution, that is arrived at through the cost estimate that is prepared by the Department of Public Works. That gives the planning board, or they make those calculations for the cost of the installation of a sidewalk. So the figures aren't pulled out of the air. DPW goes out, evaluates the subdivision, and gives the planning board those figures. And therefore, that's where that number comes from. And again, in lieu contributions rather than fees, we're not creating a fee. It's a contribution to an existing sidewalk fund that had been created previously. So we're working with what we have. We
And
want
that
to-
will not be a set amount each time we approve that.
That is correct. It depends if
That's
there's
fee
500
contribution,
linear
yeah.
fee. Yes, they're going to calculate based on the amount of sidewalk that is.
But I think it might, I think Mrs. Richards brings up a good point where it might be just some clarifiers.
I understand.
So, yeah, so like clarifying to say a financial contribution for the construction of a sidewalk may be accepted and approved by the planning board, and put in just some language as determined or as recommended by the Board of Public Works and approved by the planning board, some type of language like that as a clarifier?
I think it's there, and you want to be careful, because if you use the words "in certain circumstances," then you remove the level playing field, with all due respect. So we want to make sure we do not have a lot of fluff in our subdivision regulations. We want it to be straightforward, and somebody reading this would say, oh, okay, they've got a sidewalk fund in lieu, and in lieu contribution means instead of money, we're gonna do this, so it's a contribution. So
If I may, that's what I thought of when I read that. I thought there's no real narrowing of the playing field, so to speak. I think sidewalk should be a hard, fast rule unless there's a legitimate rationale for waiving them.
And that's where you catch that. So the planning board has the ability to grant a waiver petition, and that's found in another section. So anybody
right,
who's in
okay,
development is going to
okay.
know, oh, what can I do is there an opportunity for a waiver anywhere? But if you start to insert waiver, it just muddies the waters. So waiver is in one section, you can waive
Okay.
anything. The
And I
impact
will
development-
agree that I didn't read that back that far.
Yeah,
So,
that's okay.
Thank you.
That's okay.
Thanks.
Thank you.
So we've,
You're welcome.
If I
No,
may,
sure,
if I may, I also though think that the language of this section is not specific enough. Okay, you talked about the Department of Public Works making an estimate. The contribution shall be in an amount equal to the cost of the construction of the sidewalks as estimated by the DPW. But that doesn't say this. It just says, it leaves it wide open as to what the amount should be. It does not say that should be equivalent to the length of sidewalk that's being waived or anything like that. And I think that leaves it open to, okay, it's 1,000 feet of sidewalk and it costs $100 a foot, I'll give you $10,000, okay, instead of 100,000. I think it's a little too weak, in my personal opinion.
So if I may respond, let's read this again. In lieu contributions for the construction of sidewalks may be accepted as approved by the Planning Board and Department of Public Works and deposited into the town's existing sidewalk fund. So it has to be accepted and approved. Both the Department of Public Works and the Planning Board have to review those numbers.
But it doesn't say, excuse me for interrupting, but
Yeah,
it
no.
doesn't say what the amount is based on. It just says the recommendation has to be approved by both departments.
I think
But
that's when you
it-
have to look at the construction standards for sidewalks. So,
Okay.
yeah, and
Yeah,
so you have to be.
it doesn't give you a basis for what that number should be based on.
So
what I,
go ahead, I'm
what I
sorry.
like, what I like to do is, so to ask Connie, based upon what you've heard, that maybe we tighten some language and we bring it up at the next meeting.
And I do want to go back,
So-
it does say sidewalks may be placed on one or both sides of the street at a width determined by the planning board based on the location and need of safe pedestrian circulation. All sidewalks shall conform to the material and construction methods as specified by the town engineer or in section 701 of the design specifications. Sidewalks shall be shown on definitive plan, sidewalks shall be constructed before certificate of occupancy is signed, and then we start with in lieu contributions.
So I think there's a general agreement that we generally support the concept
Oh, yeah.
here, no question about it. Perhaps, George, you could take your revisions and
I will
Send them to-
give Connie my suggestions and see if we can, without getting too specific and without being redundant, put in just a little bit of language that says what the basis for the contributions shall be, okay?
Okay.
And so that it doesn't allow us to negotiate too much downwards, okay?
Right.
Because we don't know what future DPWs may agree to, okay?
So I'd like to shift now to the issue regarding the fiber optic conduit design systems. So Connie, would you like to address those
Yes.
on attachment 1?
So we are at
3A.
clarify the obligations on the part of the owner ensuring the infrastructure installed by the private developers, which includes installation of conduit for fiber optic cable, meets the standards of the utility providers by the following text amendments. So we are proposing to amend section 2, general 2.10, coordination with municipal departments and other agencies, to read compliance with the applicable regulations and requirements of these agencies and departments shall be required before a plan is approved by the planning board, and certification of performance relative to the proper construction and installation of respective utilities shall be required before the performance guarantee can be reduced or released. That's what it says currently. The IT director has proposed language that he feels will be helpful for the installation of conduit for fiber optic cable as we move into the next millennium of technology. He has asked that the owner shall be responsible for contacting utility providers for inspection to ensure the infrastructure installed by the private developers, which includes installation of fiber optic conduit for municipal use, meets the standards of the utility providers. The owner shall provide certification by the utility providers to the Planning and Community Development Department before the performance guarantee can be reduced or released. So we're looking for communication from Verizon. I'm not sure if I'm supposed to use the brand name, but stating that this is acceptable, because we don't want to dig up our streets.
So what I took out of that were 3 words that really stuck out to me. For municipal use. So, and I think that we've asked, and I know that, I think you've kind of asked Mr. Quimby to come to this board several times and discuss this issue, because I think we were all questioning what the needs were and what is currently going on, and I don't see him here this evening. So I, for one, still have a lot of questions. I don't know if we as a town want to mandate that we're paying for fiber installation for the town, unless it's a normal, because I don't know all the particulars. I guess when they put in fiber, I don't know if there's other requirements that they have to do phone and cable, and, I mean, as a developer, you would know those questions, but I mean, have you seen any other municipality?
I just asked the tech guys in the town and say, what's the protocol?
So that's
it.
Normal course of business
Yeah,
in
absolutely.
municipalities?
Yes.
Oh, okay. I see, okay, thank you.
So we are moving toward, in our planning initiatives, the awareness that, and I'm not an IT person, that's not my area of specialization, but we're moving toward 5G. We're, and Jonathan, you can probably describe our needs better than I can, given you're the general.
It's moving, it's
Yeah.
moving very quickly in that
Yeah.
direction. I mean, we're trying to get people on broadband out in this area. Now we're moving towards 5G, and that's been a major push to just bring us up to speed globally, because we've sort of been lagging behind on that front. But I think it would be, to echo what Russ said, I think it would be a really good idea to get maybe Ryan perhaps in here, just to give us a little bit more insight.
Yeah, we need guidance. I mean,
Because
we're
none
not
of us
IT
really
people.
are, I mean, I'm a little somewhat tech savvy, but it would be good to have somebody that is an expert at this specific type of, just to give us the insight of why this should be put in place and what the necessity.
And I guess the question I have, is it to enhance the town's network or the residents as well?
Well, if we
Because I don't know the answer to that.
further amend section 5, definitive plans, 5.3.2, plan profile, E, electrical, telephone, and cable TV supply system, including piping, handholds, transformer pad mounts, and similar equipment to read, electrical, telephone, municipal fiber optic, design conduit, and cable TV supply system, including piping, handholds. So the need is there to have municipal fiber optic design conduit, I believe, for many reasons. Our sewer and water is read via, I want to say electronically, because that's the catch-all term. I think moving forward, we'll see so much more use of fiber optic infrastructure that we don't want to be behind the curve. We want to be either maintaining speed or ahead of it, or at least pacing with what is the current need. And I do understand that this area is exploding. It's just exploding.
So this is a additional public hearing, so if there's anyone from the public that would like to be heard on this?
And you know, Bethany might be able to speak to it.
Hearing-
No, that's not your.
Hearing none? Okay.
Sorry.
So is there, what's the board's favor for this?
I would like to hear from the IT department, not necessarily Brian, but somebody from IT,
Okay.
what this municipal cable is all about, because I know they use cable to connect to the pumping stations and, you know, those things. But in a subdivision, I'm not sure why they would want to have, what municipal cable means. And I'd like to get a clearer idea of that.
I mean, does every house need to have municipal cable? What's up with that? I mean, they were going like prehistoric times. I mean, where everyone had to have a wire to their house. I mean,
Well,
I think
I think we need clarification.
No, I guess my point is if there's cable, let's say along North Main Street to a pumping station. So they
yeah,
can-
that's something
so
completely
they- so they
different.
can
I'm talking about
versus-
like Bena Vista. He's got 17 lots here. What do these guys need all this for?
Well, that's what, yeah.
Yeah, that's why I want the IT guy here. I mean, we're trying to make decisions, we don't even know what we're talking about
Well, we're
when it comes to
Right,
IT.
I agree, that's a perfect example.
Yeah, exactly what we're talking about.
So all they're looking for is the conduit to be placed so that the land doesn't have to be disturbed again.
But I still want some clarification as to why they want it placed.
All right, so we want another plastic pipe and someday someone will figure out what should go inside of it.
Well, we talk about cost.
Yeah, I mean, I could be wrong, but I think that need to put it in that plastic pipe might be there now, just because I could be wrong, but the 5G is coming up pretty quickly.
But that
Yeah, I'm not sure that
would-
needs
or
to
I don't
be
know, I
Verizon,
don't know if we're talking about,
Or,
well, it's probably,
it's not municipal use, is it? In a subdivision like
It
this?
could be.
I mean, I think 5G, I would interpret 5G as like almost as electricity or water. I think it is, in my opinion. I could be wrong, perhaps. It could be a municipal use. That's not been the case, you know, the expansion of, you know, cell service and, you know, Wi-Fi and everything is very new, but I think it's becoming more of a public utility now, and not just a luxury or something certain people have, you know.
So I guess we'd like to be more informed,
Okay,
so.
I will invite Ryan to attend the September 17th meeting, yes?
Okay.
Sure.
Or even a representative.
Representative, you know, understands. I will make a motion to accept the changes under the first paragraph.
Which first paragraph, Mr. Kingston?
One, correct typographical errors and
Yes.
move it to shall be on both sides of the street.
Okay. Do I have a second for that?
I'll second that.
So we have a motion and a second. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Okay.
Now make a motion to continue this hearing to the 17th, so we can get the wording worked out and get some additional information from EMT department.
I'll second that one.
So we have a motion and a second. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
I would like to say, however, that was a very good discussion.
Yeah.
There's a lot of good discussion on that.
I'm
So,
sorry, I don't know more about it. It's just not my wheelhouse, you know, I mean.
item 8.
We did that one already.
Oh, I'm on update of progress on mixed-use bylaw.
Yeah, you're on number
9 now? Okay, 9.
Okay.
Is there an update?
Yes, sir.
Okay.
Yes. Okay. The zoning bylaw amendment for the mixed-use zoning district. It was referred to the subcommittee by town council, the Planning Matters Subcommittee on 5/28/2019. And the town council will next hold a public hearing on September 24th to discuss the mixed-use zoning district, we believe. That has not been set in stone, but they are targeting September 24th. And they haven't met since June, early June, to discuss because of the change, again, the change in government, the elections. Excuse me, it must have been May, pardon me, 5/28. And because of the change in government, there's just been a lengthy process. But I believe their subcommittee is set. I believe Mr. Starks, Sid Starks, has been nominated and approved for the position, and we should be able to move forward. I also have an update on 330 Chestnut Street. That was Zero Peas Road. Pardon me, not Zero, that was the Rear Peas Road. And that went back before the subcommittee on 5/6. Town council tabled on 5/28. The subcommittee reported to town council on 7/2, and they anticipate a public hearing on 9/10. So the solar, I know,
Are you kidding me?
no.
June, July, August, seriously, nothing's happened? I mean, that's the end result. Nothing's happened in 3 months.
But we do have a nice spreadsheet going now to keep track of this.
Well, I don't care about the spreadsheet. I want something to happen.
I'm just,
No, I know, I understand that. I'm not,
Don't shoot the messenger.
you know what I'm
That's
saying?
okay.
I do.
that's okay.
Come on,
I
I mean, this is
do-
a big deal. We get tax dollars and everything else, and every month we put this off, there's more, if it doesn't happen.
I hear you. Any other business properly before the board? If not, do I hear a motion to adjourn?
So moved.
Second?
I'll second that.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
We have to sign some things, right?